There's BTS and then there's K-pop. BTS's 2017 Billboard Social Artist Award was an easy victory for BTS and ARMY. Billboard actually stopped publishing the live updates several days before the show. Voting, however, was to continue all the way to the day of the show. Fandoms came together to vote for BTS's closest competition. It was ARMY versus 90% of the K-pop fandoms, and yet BTS still won. It wasn't even close. What was difficult was getting tickets to watch BBMAs. BBMAs 2017 was actually held in the T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas. By then, many US armies already knew BTS was really popular, more popular in the US than any other K-pop groups. But I didn't know they were already more popular than many other mainstream Western artists topping the charts in the US. So when I called several hotels 3 days before the show to make reservations, I got the shock of my life when 90 to 95% of the hotels I called were already fully booked. And I had to book a hotel outside the Strip. The Strip is the main area where all the gambling and all the hotels are. What was even more surprising was when I arrived in Las Vegas early morning of the day of the show, the line to get in the show stretched 2 blocks. They were all armies. The organizers did not expect it, judging by the fact that no staff member was actually deployed to make sure the queue was orderly. But we didn't need security. Armies organized themselves. But it didn't stop the Vegas police, Vegas locals, Vegas tourists to stare in amazement at the queue. Many people thought that a certain artist was going to perform. It was one of the most popular artists then. Till now. I also realized that there was just no way in hell I'd get a chance to watch the show in person. I was right, because when I decided to check the queue after I checked in and took a nap, I didn't even bother looking for the end of the queue. It was so long. So I decided to just stay in my cheap hotel outside of the Strip and cheered from there. By the time I checked out the next day, the hotel reception was talking about this boy band from Korea whose fans filled the Strip. Hi, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I would really appreciate it. And of course, share the video if you can. It's really helping my channel. Okay, chapter 5. It was really when I walked out of that hotel and I heard what people was talking about, what was happening. That's when I realized BTS was really about to start a musical entertainment and artistic revolution, and a lot of Westerners won't like it. Unprecedented contract terms and renewal. Probably the most surprising thing I've read in this chapter is the contract renewal. K-pop's usual initial contract term is 7 years, but it seems that Big Hit and BTS only had either a 5-year contract or a 7-year contract, which they cut to 5 years and then started a new contract. According to Bang Si-hyuk and Namjoon, this new contract justly reflects BTS's contribution to Big Hit and HYBE. Although I will never know this for sure, given that I don't see all the contracts of all K-pop artists, there is no known precedent to this kind of contract that they have. Just like the book said, the first contract terms usually favors the agency, more to make sure that they get a return on their investments. It is when the artists renew that they are able to negotiate for better terms. There is a chatter in the industry that BTS's renewed contract terms favors BTS in an unprecedented way, not just in K-pop, but in the entire global music industry. Unfortunately, I have no hard evidence, so I can't share specifics. Who is SG Gazette? Gramophone is a PR company that SG Gazette used to work for. Big Hit first got in touch with them late in 2016 to help BTS get some publicity in the US. He did some great work if all of his claims are true. Gazette claimed to have been the one to introduce BTS to US talk shows like The Ellen Show, Late Late Night with James Corden, The Late Night Show with Jimmy Kimmel. He said that it was his team that connected BTS to Chainsmokers, Halsey, Steve Aoki, Fall Out Boys, Designer, and many others. However, some armies had two issues with him. Many felt that Gazette's team failed to do one essential thing, that is to make sure that BTS's artistic merit is recognized. Many of the pieces written or aired about BTS focused on the power of ARMY fandom instead of talking about the excellence of their music and the fact that they write their own songs. Second, he didn't recognize that BTS and ARMY made his work easier. By the time Big Hit signed with him, BTS was already selling out their concerts. US Army already had a strong US presence. By 2017, the US already accounted for 9% of Big Hit's revenue, and that was with no mainstream promotion. Big Hit didn't renew the contract when it expired in 2018, and Gazette went on to put up his own PR company. Gazette eventually managed Monsta X, Gravity, and a few other Korean groups. How important was Ellen's appearance? BTS's very first US talk show appearance was in Jimmy Kimmel's show in November 15, 2017. BTS held a mini concert for Kimmel's audience. There was a scheduled interview with Jimmy, but it was canceled. No explanation was actually provided. BTS then went on to Ellen, supposedly only as a musical guest. However, Ellen saw the reaction of her audience, that she asked if she can also sit down with BTS for an interview. The whole interview was actually unplanned. By the time James Corden had them on the show, it aired November 30 of 2017. Corden was already well aware of BTS's popularity. No wonder he had them in his famous flinch game. Concrete economic contribution. Korea Foundation reported that between 2013, when BTS actually debuted, and 2016, Hallyu fan club membership grew from 9 million to 54 million. Between 2014 and 2015, Korean products such as beauty products export grew 59%. There was also an increase in TV program exports between 2013 and 2014. Almost 100,000 Korean TV shows are being exported. Topic: Korea's national language test experienced an increase of more than 100,000 testers the same time period. All this information and more, of course, made its way to the Korean government. So it wasn't surprising when, in September 2017, BTS became the honorary tourism ambassador for Seoul. They crashed Seoul's tourism website when they released the song Seoul, by the way. This was when the talk of BTS's economic contribution started floating around, giving many haters a new reason to hate on BTS and accuse Big Hit of manipulating media reports. It didn't help that it actually took Hyundai Research Center another year before it released its formal report confirming BTS's economic contributions. Summon your talents at will. BTS was asked how they continue making music, continue making great performances, and work together so perfectly even when they were going through physical, emotional, and mental stress. BTS themselves don't know exactly how they were able to do that. Obviously, I'm not a BTS member, but what I have is a theory. They have the rare ability to summon their talents at will. I first heard of this concept from my own father when I was in grade school and I was going to compete in a writing competition. The problem was that it was an on-the-spot writing competition, and I told my father I don't do well under pressure. My father didn't have any problems pulling me out, but he just said that I have to know that opportunities won't wait until I am ready. It comes when it comes, and if I want to grab those, I need to be able to do what I need to do when the world needs it from me and not just when I felt like doing it. But it was Al Pacino, a great American actor, who actually concretized it for me. BTS, like a fine piece of raw diamond, reaches its peak when put under pressure. It was during their hardest times that they created songs like Fake Love, Outro Tear, Go Go, Anpanman, Magic Shop, DNA, Mic Drop, and many others. Songs that are so different conceptually, lyrically, and musically from the rest of the global music industry. In the movie Devil's Advocate, Al Pacino said pressure changes everything. When squeezed, some people focus and some people fold. BTS didn't fold. Instead, they summoned their talents at will. Jimins Maturity. Jimin said that he started feeling some sort of anxiety in 2017 going into 2018. By April of 2018, he was out of it. He recorded a log meant to share with armies how he managed to come out of it, and also to share his hope for the rest of the band to come out of it too. Two things stand out. One is his confidence that his brothers will get out of it eventually, sharing that he's actually eager to go back to how they were before, enjoying their rehearsals and shows. Second is his seeming awareness that his bandmates need to get out of it on their own. As much as it seemed to, probably and most likely, pain him to see his brothers suffer, he didn't express any intention of doing anything to force them to get out of it. He seemed to be very aware that it's a process a person has to go through. To this day, Jimin's mind and maturity still amaze me. As long as it's a landing and not a crash. Suga once said something very telling, and while I was reading the book, it hit different. Suga said, "I'm not afraid anymore of coming down from this, as long as it's a landing and not a crash." When they were struggling, one of BTS's biggest fears was how hard they could crash, the higher they soared. Given that they never planned nor expected the kind of success they were experiencing, it will most likely hit them harder. But what he said also gives us a better understanding on why they are doing the things they are doing right now. When they decided to pursue individual activities, supposedly after their Map of the Soul tour until the pandemic spoiled it, they were taking control of their own flight. They knew that boy bands have an incredibly short mortality rate in terms, of course, of career, and they have already stretched it longer than anyone expected. They had to think about their future, and they wanted to make sure that their future will be fully in their control. They didn't want to go with the tide. They wanted to create the tide and create their own career path instead of being forced to work the path everyone else walked on. The battle against Google, one of the most fun things to do at the time was actually watch the BTS rise in search result when somebody types in BTS. So when the BTS was like at page 20, and so every day we would like monitor if their ranking was going to improve. And anybody who knows anything about SEO, search engine optimization, or search engine marketing would tell you how hard it is to put somebody in page 1 or something in page 1. And even harder, of course, if you want them as the number one search result. So it wasn't a major goal for BTS, but we had to battle for ARMY, but we had to battle like a lot of companies who at that time was actually occupying number 1, 2, and 3. I remember it was like Broadcast Transmitter System or something like that. But it's a company, and their name, the acronym of their company name is BTS. There was a Wikipedia entry who would not leave the number 1 search result, and it was like a base transmitter system. And then another company was also, it's like a motion capture company. So those 3 companies and one Wikipedia entry were just, they wouldn't budge for a really long time. And then after several months, BTS was finally in page 1, but then it would fall off and then go back. And search results, it depends on the country, it depends on the state, the province, and stuff like that. But the goal, of course, was to actually see them at number 1 across all countries and cities and states. So it took us several months, and then, but as you know, nowadays, if you search BTS, it would just be BTS related materials until like page 8 or page 10 or something like that. So as I've said, it wasn't a major goal, but it was something fun. BTS's Creative Control. This chapter discussed the intricacy of coming up with their concepts, writing, recording songs, matching it with a performance, and how each of those can come together into a cohesive translation of a message they wanted to deliver. More importantly, this chapter discussed the continuous desire to elevate their work. For example, BTS explained that while Love Yourself Her was the light that leads them, Love Yourself Tear was the darkness that scares them. DNA, the lead single that many claim to be the song that confirmed BTS was selling out, was in fact written to be BTS's message to ARMY in an effort to close the distance and develop a more intimate friendship. They call it a providence of the universe, which originated from Jungkook's curiosity about the faces and life behind the fandom they call ARMY. In the song, it is the vastness of ARMY and vastness of their love for ARMY that inspired the creation of the image of space through reverb before filling each beat with sound. It's like creating an audio representation of a cosmos. They match this visualization in their performance. Their routine has constant movement, left and right, but they're also constantly dancing on different levels and different spaces, which creates a dynamic three-dimensional space, a reinforcement of the idea of the song itself. This book, specifically this chapter, emphasizes that everything BTS does is intentional and meaningful. They don't create songs or performances just because they are cool. They do everything with a message and a purpose. And I hope that for those ARMYs who haven't, that they will understand this as well. BTS has never fed us with trash. BTS has treated us with utmost respect by giving nothing but the best music out there. We shouldn't accept anything that is less from others.
BTS has really treated us with respect. They have given nothing but their best, and that should make us realize that we are worth it. So I think we should apply that in everything in our lives. Like if we are the ones giving, then we should give our best. If we are the ones receiving, then we should expect the best because that's what we gave. I think I'm still amazed at the amount of care and the perfection that they always try to strive for in their performances, in the music that they do, in their music videos, any kind of artwork that they produce, in the way that they communicate. They always make sure that they are articulating their thoughts as carefully as possible. Their actions, I feel like they're such gentlemen, and this is how human beings should act, with care, with compassion, and of course, as I've said, just the best way they know how. Okay, we have 2 more chapters to go, but I'm overwhelmed by your support. Thank you so much. I know that you really want to hear OG ARMY stories, and I'm more than willing to share them. But if there's anything that you want to know in particular or in a sort of a general topic, do let me know. I'll try to answer them. If I don't, maybe I can find somebody that will answer. Leave them in the comment section below, or you can get in touch with me in any of the social media links that you see on your screen right now. I do know that there will be more books after this one, and then there will be individual books as well. And I know that there will be other K-pop groups that will write their own books. All right. Thank you so much. Sorry for my dog. Thank you. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button. I would really appreciate it. Thank you.